Hello again. Let me start today with a little bit of a confession. I like grid trading. Now, I'm not saying it's a profitable way to trade, and I'm not saying it's a risk-free way to trade. I'm not even saying it's a good way to trade. I'm just saying I like it. I enjoy watching grid trading and I enjoy writing code for grid trading. So what I'm going to do for a series of videos, and I don't know how long this series will be, I'm going to write a grid trading expert, and then I'm going to invite you through the comments to tell me how that can be improved. And for the reasonable suggestions, I'll incorporate those into the future videos. So we'll watch this grid trading expert grow over time based on your suggestions. So for today, I'm just going to write in MetaTrader 5, a basic grid trader, typical buy and sell on every level of the grid. And in the next video, I'm going to show how I'll make that work for MetaTrader 4 as well. And after that, I'll begin to write modifications based on your comments. So I'm inviting you to tell me how you think this grid can be improved. So let's move straight on now, and I'll write the simple grid trading expert, and then we'll use that to improve over time. Now, to make this easier, I have already created all of the files that I need for this expert advisor, and I've put them into certain folders. So I'll quickly go through those, and then I'll just write some code to fill in the blanks, the important stuff to make this run. To begin with, I've got gridtrader.mq5, so gridtrader standard heading here. I'm defining app copyright and app link. You've probably heard me talk about this before. I like to do these defines and then use those defines in the copyright and the link statement because that makes these available in the rest of my code. So I can just change this once here, and if I want to use that in the code, I can do so. Version, you'll see that in a moment. And then from this grid trader, which you can see is located here under the grid trader folder, I make a call to include version 1.000/main.mqh. So that's how I'm doing versioning on this. If I introduce a version 1.1, then I'll simply duplicate this version folder, change this include statement, and I'll be picking up the version 1.1. So this grid trader file itself, grid trader MQ5, never changes except to change that statement. And there's nothing else in here that is relevant to the operation of the application. So if I open up that main file, you see the first thing I have here is the hash define app version 1.000. So that matches this folder name. Now, I cannot find a way that I can actually simply pick up the version number from the folder name. There are things I can do, such as string substrings, that will get that version number, but I'm using this app version. Go back here to GridTrader MQ5. I'm using it here in the property statement, and that means that this needs to be a constant value. So if anyone can think of a clever way that I can simply pick this up from the folder name instead of having to change this each time I create a new version, that's great. Leave a comment and let me know. So in here then I've got some includes config, input, and leg. Config, and we'll look at these in a moment, but config is where I put some standard defines, standard constant definitions, and I include some utility classes like trade that I'm going to be using throughout the code. Input, obviously that's where I put the inputs for the expert, and leg, because I'm treating this, it's a grid, so it has buy and sell trades, and I'm going to put each of those in their own leg. So the buy trades will all be in one leg and the sell trades will be another leg. And the leg actually contains a class called cleg, which you can see I've used here. So I'm creating the buy leg and the sell leg of type cleg. Now, just to go through the rest of this main.mqh, there's more code to add to it later, but this is the boilerplate stuff. If I can't execute symbol.refresh, so symbol is defined in config. In fact, let me go to config now, just show you. So this is the config file. I include object, so that's a nice beginning. And then I include trade, position info, and symbol info. But you'll see that these are not with angle brackets. So these are actually my own copies of these classes, and they are not copies of the original classes. They are inheritance classes. So let me just go to trade, for example. In trade, I include the default trade/trade.mqh. This is delivered with MetaTrader 5, and it includes a lot of utility functions for working with trades. So then I create my own class, ctrade custom, public inheritance from ctrade. So it's got all of the functions of the trade class, the default trade class. But I'm adding here a simple function, position open, and all I've really done is add the magic number to that position open. There's already a position open function in ctrade, but it doesn't include the magic number. I'm doing this so that when I work with code that might have different magic numbers for different types of trades, I can just set it by including in the position open. And that's also very similar to the way that MetaTrader 4 worked, which is a little bit more flexible. And because in the future I'm going to be converting this to work with MetaTrader 4 as well, it's just easier to do this now. And the position open function that I have here simply sets the expert magic number to this magic number and then simply calls the position open function from ctrade. So I've done this also with the position info class, where I've added these select by index functions. So I've got my C position info custom inheriting from C position info. C position info already has a select by index, but it only accepts the index value and it returns basically that position from the list. I've added select by index with index and symbol. And in the beginning there, I do the C position info select by index just with the index number. And if that fails, I just return false. If that's successful, then I return if the symbol, this dot symbol, and this dot symbol is actually getting the position info symbol from the position info class. So if this symbol for the selected position is equal to the symbol passed in, so I'm just returning that value. So this will return a Boolean true or false if the index selected is of the correct symbol. I've also got index, symbol, and magic number. This in turn calls the select by index for index and symbol. And if that fails, then returns false. And then it does the same thing with this if this dot magic is equal to the magic number passed in and returns that. And then I have one more here where I'm adding in the type. And I'm declaring this as an integer, but I'm looking at the type as well. So again, it calls select by index for index, symbol, and magic, and then compares the position type with the type that was passed in. So just some extensions to the select by index function, and I've put that into the C position info custom class. And then finally, I've got this total function. That's not strictly necessary for MT5, but when I get to extending this for MT4, that will be more useful. And it just returns positions total. And then go to the symbol info. Not much in here at the moment, still symbol info custom, inheriting from symbol info, but I've declared points to double, passing in an integer value of points, and then it simply returns points multiplied by the size of a point. So that's a simple conversion function that I've got in here. All of those are included in the config file, and then I declare an instance of each of those. C trade custom, and I'm calling that trade. C position info custom, I'm calling position, and the same for C symbol info custom is declared as symbol. These are basically stateless classes, so I can simply declare them here and use them as global variables then throughout the rest of my code. I'll go back to main. So symbol.refresh, that will refresh the current rates in the symbol class. If that fails in the onInit function, then I simply return init failed because I can't really go on if the symbol's unable to refresh values. And if I get to this point, just return init succeeded. There'll be more that I add into this when I write the code for it. On dinit, nothing there yet. On tick, standard things, if trade allowed, or if not trade allowed, return. And trade allowed is this function. And if not, symbol.refresh rates. Again, I need to be able to do that on each tick, then return. And I'll fill in more code here later. The trade allowed, I'm just checking a number of values. If terminal trade allowed, MQL trade allowed, account trade expert, so expert trading's allowed, and account trade allowed. So these are all functions that will give me values to tell me if these types of trading are allowed. And I need all of those to be able to run an expert advisor. And then we finally go to input. That's very simple. I've got level points. I'm defaulting it to 0 here, but we'll fill those in when we run. And then I have a trade volume, 0, trade comment, grid trader V1, and a magic number, which is the default that I keep copying across, but I might change that for this year because someone actually asked me why I use 22, 22, 22 all the time. It's because I've just been copying this since I first started writing these pieces of code in 2022. Now the input volume, let's just change that to 0.01 and we'll change the level points. Let's say I want to make it 100 points between trade levels. And then the leg is where most of the work will be done. Here I have the position type that I'm trading, the level size, and the order type. Order type and position type are numerically the same value, but because they are different enums, I'm declaring both of them here. When I instantiate the leg, I just need the position type, which gets passed in, and then I have an on tick. Now notice I've called this on underscore tick. I could have simply called it on tick, the same as the default on tick function, but I just wanted to differentiate this so there was no confusion if I'm reading code. And I can see that if I'm talking about on underscore tick, then it's one of my custom functions. In the constructor, I get the type, so the M position type is equal to that type. The level size, the reason I have M level size is because I'm taking the input level in points and I'm converting that to a double one time. So I'm using the symbol dot points to double, and that gives me the size of a level in a double value. And then the order type is just casting the position type to an order type, the enum order type. And I have nothing in the on tick so far. All right, so that's the structure of my grid trader. Now let's fill in some of the code. So start with the main file. First thing I want to do is instantiate this buy leg and sell leg. And then because I have two objects here, I need to delete those in onDinit. And then I actually need to do some work, so I'm going to call each of these legs in the onTick function. And that's everything I need to do for now in the main file. Just make sure, compile that. No errors introduced so far. The config file is already complete. All I really need to do then is go onto the leg file and just complete all of the code here, because this does most of the work. And the first thing I'm going to do in the constructor here, I'll just take out these blank lines, make it easier. I'm going to add a call to a function. I'll just call it recount. Now I'm going to use this function to read through any list of existing trades, and I have it here in the constructor in case this expert has been restarted while there are already trades open. So I'll make it a private. In fact, I'm going to change this private to protected. I don't have any reason to inherit from this so far, but just in case I do in the future. So the recount function. So I want to have a number of variables. I want to count the number of trades. I want to know the entry price and the exit price. So let me declare some more variables here. Okay, so count is just going to tell me how many trades I have. I'm going to use the entry price to tell me at the price level where I need to open the next trade. And I'm going to use the exit price to tell me the price level where I will close the trade. I'm also going to create a function called clear, where I can reset the values of those. Make sure this compiles so far. It does. Now, as I scan through recount, I need a couple of working variables. And here I'm using that total function from position. I could have easily said position is total, but because I'm going to change this to MetaTrader 4 later, that will be compatible with both. That should be a not. So if not, so if I fail to select by index for position I, symbol, magic number, and position type, then continue. That simply means that because I is counting through all possible positions, there is no way to just filter those out. Sometimes I might be selecting a position that is for a different magic number or for a different symbol. So this doesn't mean there's a failure. It just means that the position at number I is not for this expert and for this leg with the position type. Increment the counter because I've found a position. now I'm checking if the high value from here is still 0, then I haven't found a position yet. So this is the first one I found. Or if the price open for this position is greater than that high value, then I'm setting a new high. I'll do the same for low. But in this case, it's price open is less than the low. And that's everything inside the loop. So at the end of this loop, I've got a count of the number of positions for this leg, and I have the high price and the low price of the trades. I don't want that to be equals, I want that to be greater than. So if I've actually found some trades, so if I have actually found trades, M count greater than 0, and if the type for this leg is a buy, then the entry price, which is the next level where I'm going to enter, will be equal to the low price minus the level size. So that will be one level below the lowest priced level that I already have. And the exit price will be the low plus the level size. So that will be one level above that low price. And now I do the same for the sell, but in this case it's high plus level size is the entry price, and it's high minus level size for the exit price. So what this is saying, for a position type buy, let's just look at that. It means I'm going to enter again when the price gets to the lowest price that I already have a trade at, minus the level size. So it's going to add one more trade below the bottom of the grid. It's going to exit at the low price plus the level size. Now, you might say, what happens if the price is already above that? The way this grid is going to be working, it can't be above that already, because if it's already above those prices, then it will have already closed that lowest and it won't exist. So it wouldn't have found that lowest price. The low price that it finds is always going to be one that's still open, and it can never be further above that. You might also be wondering what happens if there are no entries. Then that's why the high, the low, and the lead and the trail, or the entry and exit price, they will still be 0 at that point, and that gets detected then in opening the trades. So that's the recount, which means that from the beginning where I've entered the grid, I've counted any existing trades. And now the on tick, where the bulk of the work happens. First, I'm just going to grab the ask and the bid price. I should just compile here to make sure I haven't got any errors. None. And the first thing I want to do here is to close any existing trades if I should. Okay, so in this closing, I'm saying if the position type is a buy and the bid price, so bid price is the price that I'll be closing any buy trades at. If the bid price is greater than or equal to the calculated exit price, then I'm going to close all for that bid price. Now, exit price may be 0. If I haven't got any trades open, it won't hurt to call the close all, because the only way exit price can be 0 is if I have no trades. Close all will find nothing to do. Might waste a few CPU cycles, but it won't hurt. And the opposite then, for if the position type is a sell and the ask, which is the closing price for a sell trade, is less than or equal to the exit price, then I call close all. Let's write the close all function so you can see where that's working. So begin with a standard loop through all of the positions. Just as I did before, If the current position I is not the correct symbol and the magic number of position type, then I'll just continue, which will go back to the beginning of this loop. I'm grabbing the ticket number from position.ticket. I'm saying here, if position.position type is equal to position type by. Now I could have simply said if m position type is equal to position type by, because by the time I get to this line, that position type will be the same as the m position type, because that's what this select by index would have done for me. One way or the other, gives the same answer. So if this is a position type by and price minus the level size is greater than or equal to the open price. So that means that this closing price is better than the opening price by the amount of the level size. So I've achieved that many points of profit. I'm at the next level. I can close this trade. And then I simply call trade.positionClose for that ticket number. Now I'll do the same for the sell side. And I can make this code a little better. I just haven't done so for this first video. In this case, position type is sell. And it would be price plus level size is less than or equal. Let's see, that should be right, yes. So if this is a sell and price plus level size is less than or equal to the open price, then I'll close that trade. When I've been through the close all, I'm just going to call recount again. All right, so that's the close. And now that I've been through and closed any trades that need to close, I can also look at opening up new trades. So if the position type is a type buy, then if there are no trades open at the moment, so M count 0, or the ask price is less than or equal to the entry price, which means that I've fallen down below the bottom of the grid, then I will open a trade at that ask price. And then for the sell side, I don't actually need a condition. I could just use else, because if it's not a buy, it must be a sell. And this time its bid is greater than or equal to the entry price. Then I open the trade at bid. Now, open trade, that's another function that I need to create. Okay, so here I'm calling the position open, and this is the custom position open from the trade custom class. So I've added this INP magic. The standard position open in the default trade class that's delivered with MT5 only includes this trade comment, and you need to set the magic number before using this. So I've just built that all into a single function. So I'm opening it for the chart symbol, for the M order type, and this is why I capture an order type separately to a position type, because the position open will fail if I pass a position type, even though numerically they might be identical. The input volume, the price that's been passed in, 0 for stop loss and 0 for take profit, and then the trade comment that was also an input and the magic number and recount. And I think at that point, we do a compile on this file, no errors there. I think if I go back to Grid Trader and compile, that also compiles. So everything's compiled. Now let's run some tests and see what happens. Now I'm set up to run the demonstration, gridtrader.ex5, Euro USD, an hourly chart. The time frame doesn't matter to the trading. It just really matters to the visuals, because this is trading based on price movement. running from January 23 to April 24, optimization disabled and in visual mode, so we can see that. And the inputs, these are just the defaults: 100 points, 0.01, lot size, and grid trader V1 and magic number. So let's start that and see it trading on screen. Now straight away we can see it's placing trades every roughly 100 pips here, and bring up the graph. You can see that we're trading, we're closing some trades. The balance is going up because trades are only closed in profit, but the drawdown is increasing because I've got some of those trades left over. So let me just let that run for a little bit longer and then watch. Now this is only up to the 3rd of January, but I thought I'd stop it because I can already show the flaw of this type of grid trading. You can see that here at the very top, I have a buy trade that's left behind because that won't close until the price moves 100 points above that. But if the price does move 100 points above that, it will take out another buy trade. So if the price moves outside this range that it has already set, it's always going to have buy trades at the top, and it's always going to have sell trades at the bottom that are left behind. And typically the price will form new highs and new lows at some point, and then it's going to trade in the middle. So you're always going to have buy trades left at the top and sell trades left at the bottom, simply because they've been taken when the price moved down there and they are never closed out. You're always going to get this. And that's going to lead to a drawdown that you simply carry through the life of that expert running. Let me go here. You can see that although the balance is increasing steadily, the drawdowns are going down here. Now, this would have been at the point where the price was at the very bottom. So there were no sell trades except the one current sell trade open. But as the price moves back into the middle, then we've got some sell and some buy, and it's more evened out. But the best we can ever hope for is for the price to be in the middle of the range that it's set, and that at some point it will simply be trading away, and this will follow the balance curve. But we're never going to eliminate this drawdown, not completely, with this method. I'm going to let it run for a little longer. Now, stop this again. We can see that the price went up and then came back down. It's actually made a new bottom level here. And if I then look at the graph, we can see where the equity basically tracked with the balance at a sort of equal distance, as long as the price was staying in this middle range. But then when the price again fell to an extreme, a low extreme here, that gap to the equity has increased. Let's go back and run some more. And I've stopped it yet again because after this low extreme, we can see the price has climbed all the way through here, and now it's making extremes on the high side. But I have more trades open simply because I've got sell at the extreme bottom here, and I've got sell trades all the way up to the extreme high. If I look at the graph, you can see that we've taken a dive in the equity then. The best place for equity is going to be when the price is in the middle of that range. But each time price sets a new high or a new low, the range is going to get bigger. And so that even middle of the range is not going to be as good as the value at the middle of the range before. Let me run some more. And what we can see now, the price has continued to make new highs. There was a lot of activity here, so there were a lot of trades open and closed, but the price is still quite high compared to, shrink that right down, and compared to the sell way down here. So there are a lot of losses that are being carried. And if I look at the graph, we can see it's actually trending down in the equity. I'm just going to let this run to the end now rather than continue to stop it, because you've seen where the problem is with this type of grid trading. Okay, so that's done now, and we can see on a $10,000 account, actually made a $5,000 profit. So that's not bad, 50% profit. This is running over 15 months. So ran through all of 23 and up to the beginning of April 24, so 15 months. If I look at the graph, you can see that there was a drawdown almost consistently. Now, the backtest result here doesn't include swap. So the problem with carrying this drawdown for such a long time is that you're going to be incurring swap on all of those trades while they're open, and that may eat heavily into the profit. But still, it's something, And the whole point of this series is not to show you that this is a good strategy, it's to invite you to suggest ways to improve this. And the key improvement that I think we need to make is to reduce this drawdown and find a way to eliminate the long-standing trades that are never closed. You see a big drop here at the end where they were all closed out at the end of the test. Because obviously there is always going to be a point where the price has reached its highest price or the lowest price since you began running the expert, and those trades are never going to close until a new high or low is created, and that will create yet another trade that never closes. So the outliers are going to hang around forever. Other than that, some slight profit here, 5,000. And the next video in this series, I'm not taking the suggestions straight away into this, so feel free to leave in the comments your suggestions for improvement. But in the next video, I'm just fixing some of the code, making it a little better, and at the same time converting this so that it runs on MetaTrader 4. And I will then also explain why I'm writing this for both MetaTrader 4 and 5, and how this 5,000, which looks like a 50% return in a year, is actually a much better return if you use the right type of account. So until then, do the like and subscribe thing. It helps me a lot, and it will also help you to know when I release the next video. And thanks for your time.